All right, up next we have for this movies monthly we have the all the stuff that I watched at home, and there's actually quite a bit that wrapped up this month. I think there were only like 3 movies, but I was in the middle of a bunch of shows last month, and we got several of them wrapped up, and I also watched a few movies. So going through these, will be pretty quick. Some of these I watched for the first time, some of them were rewatches. Game Night is a film that I've seen before. I absolutely love it. I think it's a great film. One of the best comedies, maybe my favorite comedy, but it's definitely up there and one I would think about. Like, it's in the running for one of my favorite comedies. Absolutely love that film. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. That's hopefully all I need to say. Don't really want to say too much more on it. But Rules of Engagement, I kind of cycle through sitcoms and rewatching them, so I've seen this show several times now, but just wrapped up my latest watch through of the whole series. And I think this is a great show. I recommend it. It's, maybe not for everybody, but I like the characters. I definitely relate a lot to Jeff, and yeah, find him kind of the most entertaining. But I think all the characters are good, and it's another show that, yeah, definitely recommend. She-Hulk finished up this month, and I thought this was a good show. I was entertained, especially in the second half of the season. It's not, I mean, I think it's lighthearted. It was entertaining for me, kind of funny here and there. I think it could have maybe been more funny, given that it was trying to be a comedy, and I know that's a critique I hear of the show. But I enjoyed it. I really liked some of the stuff that worked its way into the end of the season. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but the last couple episodes I actually really liked, mainly because of, yeah, well, I won't go into spoilers. We'll leave it at that. I think it's about average for what Marvel's been putting out lately, which is kind of B level material. But I wasn't bored by it. I did enjoy most of the episodes, and I really like the main character. I think she's a lot of fun. Next up, we have Rings of Power. This I had so high expectations for. The Lord of the Rings is my favorite movie of all time, specifically Return of the King if I have to pick one, but I treat the whole trilogy as a movie. And while they spent a lot of money on this show, and technically it's very, very, very good, like the visuals, the music, the sound, great, the story needed a lot more work in my opinion, and the story's just kind of fine. But overall, I think it's a good show. It's one that I was entertained by, but it's certainly not great or a masterpiece like I was hoping it might be. So that one gets good. Next up, we have The Goonies. This is one that I hadn't seen before, and just got around to watching it. I think I've had it on 4K Blu-ray for a while, but I thought it was fine. It wasn't a bad film, but the child's acting in it was just okay. Some of them were a little bit better than others, but some of them weren't very good at all. Again, that's not to say I could do any better, but just got to call it as it is. And yeah, it was not all that entertaining of a film, in my opinion. Gravity, I'm trying to remember. So I saw this for the first time this month as well. I watched it in 3D at home, and the 3D was pretty good. I'm trying to remember how, like, it's at least a good. I'm trying to remember if it was a great. I feel like if I have to think about it, it means that it wasn't necessarily great. But I don't know. I think Sandra Bullock did a really good job, and I think it's a great film in 3D. If you're not watching this in 3D, then it's not. But given that I watched it in that format, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a great. I think it's really good film. The 3D was particularly put to good use and shot in a way that not a lot of films are. So next up we have House of the Dragon. This was a show I was looking forward to. Game of Thrones is my favorite TV show, so but for this one, I kept my expectations low enough. I was just kind of hopeful we get something kind of on the level of Game of Thrones. And in my opinion, this is a better season 1 than Game of Thrones had for a season 1. And I think this is an absolute masterpiece. Absolutely love the show. I think it was like 3 episodes in. And not to say it took 3 episodes to get good, but that's when it really hit me. Like, I missed this feeling of just being so in awe at how good a show is, and it's been a while since I've gotten that, just because it's been a while since Game of Thrones. So next up we have Sleepy Hollow. I'd seen this once before years ago, but I was rewatching it this month, and it's fine. I wasn't all that entertained. It's a little cheesy, and I don't know. I was thinking it was a better film than it ended up coming across, but maybe that's also because I already kind of knew how it ended based off like how the mystery ended. So knowing that, it wasn't a whole lot of entertaining outside of that, in my opinion. How to Train Your Dragon 2. This is one I've seen before, saw in theaters. This is the second film in my favorite animated trilogy of all time, and I think the first one is definitely a masterpiece, and the trilogy as a whole is a masterpiece. But I'm trying to think if the no this yeah I mean for like an animated film, this is a masterpiece. It doesn't get much better than this. Like the music's really good, the characters are great, and the story's great. So that's the one that I think is a must see. It's not quite as good as the first one. I think the first one in the series is the best, but. And then last up we have Nightmare Before Christmas. This is one that I feel like I probably saw growing up, but I don't remember having seen it before. And watched it in 3D because I got the 3D Blu-ray, and it was fine. I can see why a lot of people absolutely love it, but I don't personally absolutely love it. It's not quite up my alley, and yeah, I don't know. It was fine. I get why people like it, but I'm not going to be itching to watch it. Certainly not every year, or that sort of a thing. But yeah, big list of stuff that I watched at home this month. If you've been watching movies or shows, even if you're rewatching them, I love hearing recommendations. I might not get around to everyone's recommendations, but if you I do try to put things on my list, and if they are on my radar, I love talking about movies, and the only way you can kind of get new stuff on your list is by talking about it. So definitely share what you've been watching if you really like it, and I'm always interested to hear what people are watching. So that's what I watched at home this month.